video, I want to answer a question that I have received recently, and that is the following question. If you think of any statistical software package, such as R, SPSS, JASP, you name it, is it possible to do mixing, as in mixed analyses in there? Now, I'm answering this question for you today, and actually I'm not just bringing one answer, I'm bringing 3 of them. Namely, yes, no, and maybe. But before we dive into those 3 answers, let me just add one point of clarification here. Now we are talking about mixing as in mixed methods analysis here. We are not concerned about this statistical term mixing, which sometimes appears as in mixed effects models, for instance, right? So this is not what we are doing here today. All right, so let's dive into this question. Can mixing be achieved with, say, SPSS or JASP? Well, yes, was my first answer. Because if you refer to some works, such as this one, you will find that there are mixed method authorities that say, yes, it is possible, because you could say nominal data is kind of qualitative data. You know, nominal data such as, gender often, or ethnicity, something that is really in no order in terms of the data, but that is just, well, it has a name and you can distinguish groups. That would be ordinal data, and I can totally get the point that if you are like a hardcore statistician, that this would seem already quite qualitative to you. Thing, of course, is that if you do ask a qualitative researcher, I don't think that there's anyone that would actually agree with that, because it's still super superficial data. So if you do accept that viewpoint, and quite frankly, I think there are not too many people out there that would actually accept that viewpoint, then you could say, for instance, like a t-test is taking into account qualitative data, that is nominal data. There are groups that it needs, right? And that is some aspect of, well, very weak mixing, okay? But if you read my non-verbal cues here correctly, I'm not totally convinced of that answer. So let's switch to the second answer. No, this is not possible. Now let's for a moment really just focus on the core functionality of statistical programs. Let's not dive into packages in R, for instance, that work with text data, because of course that does exist, and there the line becomes a bit blurry. But if you just think of SPSS and the main functionality it provides, same with JASP, no, there is no real way to import lots of qualitative data, like in a stricter sense maybe, like interview data, for instance, and to proceed working with it. Like all the methods that are usually covered in a standard statistics course, they are not applicable to qualitative data. So that's actually a clear no from that perspective. And then, of course, the third answer, maybe. Maybe because if we transcend the boundaries of one method and talk about method designs or mixed method research designs, then of course you can use JASP within that. Namely, there might be a quantitative strand as part of your mixing, which you just like any quantitative study, are dealing with in your favorite statistical package. And once you have completed that, you maybe merge the results with some qualitative results that you have gained in some other software package. Right? So in that sense, if we move to a higher level, namely the level of research design, it's of course perfectly possible to use JASP, to use SPSS within that design. So hopefully that was useful to you. Just to summarize, I think there are 3 viewpoints that you can take to answer this question. First, you could say yes, because nominal data is some kind of qualitative data. Yeah, right. You cannot really make calculations with it. This is just like, well, numbers representing text, basically representing some attributes. Second answer was no, because, well, it's not really very qualitative information that you get through a nominal variable. And the third way would then be to frame this as a research design question, and then of course it is perfectly fine to view this as one component of a larger design where you're using statistical software packages to run quantitative analyses that are then combined with qualitative data, with qualitative analyses, to result in some mixed methods design.